So there's been a lot of Twitter beef over the last few days between two of the UFC's biggest stars, Conor McGregor and Jorge Masvidal. And correct me if I'm wrong, but even though this was a match speculated for years, really since Jorge had his meteoric rise, and it's been kind of a speculated bout. Is this like really the first time that these two have really been like publicly beefing like this? Like I don't know if I've seen this before now.
That I can recall, it does seem that way. Like in terms of
Yeah.
like actually calling one another out, adding each other, if you will, if that's what the young kids still say these days. I think this
My
is the first
gosh.
time we've seen it.
Yeah, Dom, you crack me up. So we have some tweets here. I have some tweets, and Dominic has a statement from Jorge. Jorge sent it to Dom himself, and
Yeah,
asked for Dom to read it on the show on his behalf.
this is true.
Because Dominic's on the UFC's payroll, like I said.
Right.
No, so we're going to start with the Twitter exchange. I don't know the context for Connor's tweet. But
There's never
someone,
much context to Conor.
because Connor, of course, has deleted all evidence of this. So I'm going off of pictures here, but this was in response to something relating to Jorge Masvidal, because this was directed at Jorge. Connor said, "An absolute pigeon brain. This guy is stupid beyond belief." Should I have done that in an Irish accent? I feel like I should have, but
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, next time. Jorge responded with that and said, "This pea brain," which Connor called him a pigeon brain, so not the exact same thing, but tomato, I guess.
Right, of course.
"This pea brain is the biggest fight of your life, so you're either too scared or too stupid to get this check." I would say a pretty solid comeback.
That is a good comeback.
And then Jorge has continued into, as we're recording this, we're recording on Wednesday.
Yep.
And of course, on Wednesdays, we get the lovely MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani. Literally just a couple hours before we recorded, he had Jorge Masvidal on his show. So, of course, this was asked about. And Dominic, do you want to give the quote that Jorge said on the show?
Yes, so via the MMA hour from Jorge, quote, "He is not going to fight. The UFC has offered him this fight. It's not going to be good for the Conor brand or his cheap-ass whiskey to lose to me. So that little bitch has to do what he has to do and just take to Twitter and talk shit. Dana White called it a long-ass time ago. I'm too much man for him, too much size, as Dana says, and it stuck with him. But at the same time, he can't do nothing about it because he knows it's true."
Mm.
That's quite the soundbite
That's
there.
it's definitely some strong words from
Yes.
a strong man in Jorge Masvidal.
Yes.
Now he has obviously some of his own problems going on with the, I guess, ongoing Colby Covington.
Yeah, legal troubles.
That legal dispute
Yeah.
that's ongoing. But let's talk about this a little bit. So, I guess where we can kind of start is maybe so we are, of course, as this show is a weekly show and we do this twice a week usually, it can kind of become victim to itself in a way where, like, I've noticed just from the past, like in the past 6 months, I think we've had clips of us saying that the fight to make was
Yeah.
Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, and then also saying the fight to make was Jorge
Yeah.
Masvidal versus Conor McGregor. It's fun, right? It's just a way to.
That's how
things
quick the
go.
game moves.
That's how quick it moves. It is. You're true. I think I'm not saying it's a bad thing that we do.
Right.
It's just
It's funny.
It's just the way it goes. Now, with that being said, Dom, did these exchanges put this fight back into focus for you, or are you still kind of thinking that this fight's really not in the cards, in your opinion?
I mean, you'd like to say so, just because it is two of the biggest names, or it's the two biggest names in the UFC current day right now, and they're at similar parts of their careers. Whether you're a Conor fan or a Jorge fan, no matter how you want to slice it up and look at it, it's true. They're on skids. They're losing to the top tier guys, but these two have never fought each other. They're two of the biggest stars ever in this sport's history, in the UFC's history. Now is still a better time than never to do it, right? I mean, Conor's always going to have big fights in front of him because everybody wants to fight Conor. Jorge is always going to have big fights until he retires, but obviously not to the magnitude of a Conor. Not as many people calling for Jorge. But I think that this fight would still make sense. You would think it's something the UFC would want to do. I think it's interesting Jorge said the UFC offered him this fight. I would be curious to see how much truth there is actually to that. But if that is the case, if the UFC is wanting to make it, after all that stuff that Dana has said, we've talked about it on here probably where he said Conor's too small. Maybe it is. If you're not going to do it, let's just push it to the wayside and be done with it. Let's not keep bringing it up. Let's not keep having rumors about it. And as Noah said, this is the first time we've seen them acknowledge each other. Maybe it's closer on the horizon than what we think.
Out of all the matchups that we've speculated for Conor McGregor, is this the biggest pay-per-view buy rate that he can get with Jorge Masvidal?
Ooh.
Realistic opportunity.
Is it the biggest?
Obviously, a Khabib rematch would probably be the biggest, but that's not realistic, right?
Man, well, I mean, there's two clear options in my head. It's this or it's the trilogy with Nate, right? You hear that plane above?
Yeah, there's a plane.
the plane. I'm
glad that you caught that. But those are the two clear options. It really is. And
which one would do bigger pay-per-views, Noah?
Well, so I'm going to stand firm on this one. And we'll see if you follow suit. But I'm going with the trilogy between him and Diaz.
Yeah.
And I think my answer would have been flipped maybe 6-8 months ago.
Yeah.
But I think that Masvidal's, as big as his rise is and as big of a star as he still is, it's not the same that it was. We remember that lead up to Fight Island and him versus Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
he was on fire.
He was as close as you can get to I guess he really wasn't the global of Conor, but in terms of like a hardcore fan, how we viewed a product, he was as close as you can get to like that Conor Ronda level, right? He's fallen off quite far, I think, since then. I think the fight with Colby didn't do him any favors because, of course, he lost and didn't put up the greatest of fights.
And the aftermath.
Some people seem to really like that fight. I wasn't really. I didn't think it was that great, but
okay.
The aftermath, I think, has made him look even worse. Yes, I know, how people feel about Colby and if he deserved it, whatever. It's irrelevant. Kind of a punk thing to do, right? You don't do that. So.
But Nate's Nate, man. You know what I mean?
I just think that Nate trilogy is always just, and I think that's lost some steam. I think if we did that by the end of 2016 or 2017, instead of doing the Mayweather fight, that's probably doing more than him and Khabib did.
Very much so.
Ooh.
Very,
that was
very
a bit of a hot take. That was
very close.
No, you don't want to jump on that ship with me, quite. I don't know if you want to jump on that ship.
I was hand touch the stove.
Yeah, I was like, damn, that was kind of hot. But I'm serious. I think that there's some. I think to say 2 million buys, I think
it does 2 million. Yeah.
Now you probably get around what him and Dustin's rematch did, I would say.
Yeah. What was that, 1.3?
1.3, 1.4.
Yeah, which, that's a good payday.
Oh, that's great. I mean,
well, here's the thing, too, though. Right now, what's the hottest thing going for Nate? It is this mystery of who he's going to fight next. What's the UFC doing? Why is it taking so long? He's tweeting daily at this point about why he's not getting a fight. So people are just clamoring at the bit. If the UFC goes mic drop and they say it's him and Conor, I mean, dude, that'd be big. That would be bigger than him and Jorge.
It is kind of funny that our last episode, or maybe it was the one before that, we talked about how Conor's apparently not even in the USADA testing pool,
right?
And how that we're we shouldn't even speculate on Conor anymore.
He finds a way, man.
Conor finds a way, and I mean, honestly, they did it for Brock. They'll do it for Conor. Come on, people. Come on.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If they did McGregor Masvidal, I'd be on board. I'd be on board, man. I mean, it's a big fight. It feels more competitive now too, I think. I think Conor has dropped off a little bit for sure. And Masvidal's dropped off a little bit for sure. If you're just going off the last couple of years, I guess. Theoretically, Masvidal being the much larger, powerful, stronger guy, the more natural welterweight, probably should be able to win that fight. But it's just such an interesting matchup at this point because both guys aren't at 100% anymore, in my opinion. And both have had their losses kind of stacking up now. And, you know, is it the best fight for a returning, coming off of a long injury, Conor McGregor? I don't know. I don't know if there's a perfect option for that. A lot of people might throw out Tony Ferguson. Michael Chandler is still, you know, he's a more competitive. If you're talking about if you really want to throw Conor back in the fire, Michael Chandler's there.
It really does still feel like he might never fight at 155 again, though. You know.
We've been talking about that a little bit. I remember we had someone comment on one of our episodes speculating as such.
He's big right now, man.
He's huge. He's huge. Now we've seen crazier things. I mean, Conor, remember how he used to make featherweight? I mean,
True.
He's done some crazy things when it came to weight cutting, but yeah, I mean, part of me thinks that once I don't really know how many fights we have left with Conor. Just
for both.
Well, right, and I feel like we have more with Masvidal, truthfully, and Masvidal's 38. You know.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, I really don't. I mean, a lot of it depends on the wins and losses. But if Conor loses his next fight, I mean,
that's
his
true,
return
man.
fight, if he's fighting like a Tony Ferguson and he loses, I mean,
Yes,
you still have big fights, but I mean, they eventually even the casual fans aren't tuning in anymore, right?
Yeah. You got to feel like the perfect thing for Conor would be to fight Jorge, fight Nate, and then maybe you get lucky and get a welterweight title shot in there and kind of ride off into the sunset, you know?
Yeah.
But, like,
I
if
still
he
don't
gets
think
those
it's
two
out of the
fights...
question. I still don't think it's out of the question for him to come back and fight Usman. I don't think that's out of the question.
Oh,
Or
Jesus.
Leon Edwards, depending on who's the champion. You know?
Yeah, of course.